Okay, guys, welcome out to today's training. I am super stoked, super fired up to be here with Bob Heilig, your virtual upline, my virtual upline. Super grateful for all of the amazing value that Bob has brought to the marketplace, the network marketing community. Bob, it's exciting to be here with you. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you got it, Matt. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm excited to hopefully add some value to your audience.
Awesome. So just in case there's somebody here who doesn't know who you are, you've kind of exploded in the online space, and it's been fun to watch that journey and to follow that. But why don't you give us a little bit of background of your story? I think it'd be helpful to kind of set up your story in network marketing and then how you got into personal branding and coaching, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been involved in the network marketing profession for over 10 years. I started back in, I think it was 2001, got introduced to the industry. I'd never heard of network marketing before. It's funny, I was actually introduced randomly by some guy at the mall, which was kind of funny. Had never heard of it, signed up right on the spot, was excited, and was far from an overnight success. One of the things that I'm most proud of when it comes to my network marketing career as a rep is how much I struggled the first year. I actually wasn't able to recruit a single person.
Wow.
And people hear that and they're like, well, why are you proud of that? Well, I'm proud of it because I didn't quit. And I think that first year was really important to my development because a lot of that struggle and a lot of that adversity that I went through really shaped me into the leader that I became, because I didn't have immediate success. And because I had to go through a lot of personal growth, I think that made me very relatable as a leader because I could really talk to people. Because look, you and I know more often than not, people struggle in a business like this. Yeah. Because they don't really understand what it means to be an entrepreneur. So I had a rough go of it in my first year. I started to figure some things out. I realized that success wasn't about me getting lucky. It was about me becoming a better version of myself every single day. And, and I actually went on to have a lot of success in my career. Over the course of the next several years, I was able to really start to kind of build a solid foundation for a business. And I went on to earn over 7 figures in the profession. My last company that I was with, we built a team of over 100,000 reps. I've built big businesses, and, I found myself in the beginning of 2015, really what I thought was on top of the world. I was with a company, a 4-year-old company. I was one of their top distributors. I was the person on stage and was helping the company develop training, and went into the office one day, and there was a little bit of a different feel in the office. And long story short, they pulled us one by one into the owner's office and said, we're shutting down the network marketing division. They were actually an energy company that had a network marketing arm, and they kind of decided they didn't want to do that anymore. So that kind of came as a major blow. Did commissions disappear, or did they kind of keep that? To their credit, they did continue to pay commissions. And they still, it's wound up. It's kind of wound up to be a pretty cool story. I still get a residual check from that company to this day. It's not anything like it was when I was building. It's a fraction of what it was, but there I was. I thought I had my future planned out in front of me, and now all of a sudden I had to figure out what the heck I was going to do. I mentioned that because that was my first aha moment that I probably need to have a little bit of a different approach in terms of the way I position myself online. Because up to that point, I was branding really myself as my company. All I talked about was how great my company was, how this, that, all the content and everything I was putting out there was specific to that company. And then there I found myself all of a sudden not a part of that company anymore. I took about a month of really soul searching, and I wound up joining another company with a couple of good friends of mine. But then now I was having to say, well, I know I said this company was great, but now this one is, and it's just an example of you never really know what's going to happen. So I think, and you're a proponent of this, and I am. I started to realize that it was about me branding myself.
Right.
And I started to kind of study people that were teaching this concept of personal branding. And I said, that makes a lot of sense to me, because if something like this ever happened again, God forbid, I want to be in a better position where now I don't have egg on my face again, because I've promoted that particular company all the time. And it's a good thing that I did have that realization, because the company that I did join 7 months later got shut down by the federal government. And some people may be able to guess the name of that company, but so I found myself in August of last year for the second time in 7 months, having to figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life. And it was right around that point in time, this little technology called Periscope was becoming popular. It was July, August of last year. And I had, up to that point, I had never even done a video on social media before.
So what had you done as far as like?
The only thing that I was doing when it came to social media was I was doing a lot of active prospecting, but it was all behind the scenes, messaging. I did have a lot of success using LinkedIn for prospecting, but I didn't understand the power of marketing, right? Of really getting myself out there. I was very resistant to doing videos. I had a friend of mine, really, she hounded me for a year saying, look, you got to do videos. You got to do videos. And I was like, yeah, I know. But I had that block there. But because of everything that was happening, I really felt like my back was against the wall and I didn't have any other options. So I said, I'm going to just do it. I like this idea of live video, because I really struggled with shooting a video and then having to upload it. Like, I found myself creating videos, but I could never upload them. And I mean, you know how it is. You're so critical of how you are. You shoot a video, you're like, no, I don't like the way my head's tilted, or I didn't like, so you wind up shooting the same video 100 times. Well, I like this idea, a live video, because I could just start talking. And I love the idea of Periscope, because if it sucked, it was gone in 24 hours. Right? So it was like you only had one day to see how bad I was, and then you didn't, it didn't exist anymore. And I started doing a Periscope, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do it every morning at 8 a.m. for 30 days, and I'm going to see where that goes. And I needed to do that because I know myself well enough that if I didn't make that commitment publicly, even though it was really only to like 5 people on my first video, if I didn't make that commitment, I probably wouldn't have followed through.
Right.
So what was interesting is 8 a.m. became my accountability partner. I woke up every day and I knew, even if there was only 1 or 2 people that were waiting for my video, that there were other people that were expecting it.
Wow.
And I started to do these little 5-10 minute generic trainings. I literally got out old notebooks that I had, and I started paging through, and each morning I would find something that I had learned at some point in my career, and I just started to share it with other people. And over the course of 30 days, it didn't take off right away. I can remember the first time I had 20 people on my video. I was like freaked out. But eventually people started to follow and tell other people. And before I knew it, about 60, 90 days in, I was having 30, 40 people a day just join. And I didn't even know who these people were joining me on Periscope. At this point, I didn't even really know where this was going to go. But I really started to study the world of online marketing and branding and how I could expand my reach. And then before I knew it, by the end of the year, I was having hundreds of people a day that were watching live and through the recordings. I started to have people reach out to me about doing private coaching. I hadn't even thought about doing coaching. I said, well, maybe I should probably offer coaching. People were wanting to give me money. And in the first week of January, I decided that I had built the following to the point where I thought I could start making some money. And I offered my first round of private coaching. And in that first week, I made $30,000. I had I just came up with this package, 6 weeks, $2,000. You get an hour-long call with me, 1 call per week. I remember thinking, I don't know if anybody's going to even pay this. And I had 15 people sign up that first week. I made $30,000.
Wow. How did that feel?
It was amazing. I mean, it was really my first realization that the potential of building a following and what that can mean. Because, this was prior to this point, me making money in network marketing was not that I wasn't working a lot of hours creating content, but, I was traveling all over the country to do meetings and build teams. And here I was in literally 1 week, made as much money as I had in a month before in network marketing. And I never left my home to do it.
Right.
So that was exciting. But then the problem was I then had to fulfill the coaching that I sold. And that became very time consuming, where I felt like I had a job just coaching people.
Mm.
But this is what was interesting. I started coaching these leaders. I mean, I had multiple six-figure earners that I was coaching from these other companies. And they didn't know the most basic stuff. Like, I was amazed at some of the stuff I was teaching them. And it really made me realize that sometimes we take for granted the things that we know.
Right.
You know, if you're a part of a company that has a really good training program and good leadership, don't take that for granted, because most people don't have that. And I started to learn that I could take some of these things that I knew, and if I could learn how to package them and market them to others, that there would be people that would be willing to pay good money for that. And I also realized that I couldn't continue going on just selling private coaching. I needed to find a way to scale the business so I could, reach more people at one time. So I created a training. Now, all the while at this point, I'm still in a network marketing company. I joined another company. I was doing it very much behind the scenes.
That's good context to have.
I wasn't even really posting online about it. But I did a training. It was January of this year, and it was a webinar that I did on building your business with Facebook. Just basic do's and don'ts for Facebook. I charged $27, and then the price went up to $47. And January 20th, I'll never forget the date, I started selling that training 7 days before, and I had 1,100 people buy it.
Wow.
I made $30,000 in registrations before I had even done the training. And then on that webinar, which wound up being over 2 hours long, I delivered tremendous value. At the end of the webinar, I launched and I offered a group coaching program. So I said, I can't just keep doing this one-on-one. So I came up with, it was just a concept. I hadn't even created the content yet. I said, let me just do a 90-day program. I'll do 6 every other week. I'll do a live webinar. I'll pick these different topics, just stuff that I've learned, for building what you need to be successful in network marketing. And we did an extra $83,000 in sales. So my first webinar I ever did made $113,000 in January.
Wow. Results are not typical, right?
Yeah, results not typical. And in that month, my very first month of this online business, this company that I created, I made over $200,000 total with product sales, coaching. It was real. I was completely blown away. And, I look back and I think, so, how did I build that so fast, right? Because that's what a lot of people ask is, how did you do that? Well, I think there's a couple of things. And if I could maybe give some advice to anybody that's watching this that might just be starting out, there's tremendous power in consistency. I did literally, if you think about it, I did a video every single day, except for Saturdays and Sundays. I didn't do the 8 a.m. I would just check in. But I did a video every day for 6 months before I made $1.
Wow.
Now, one of my favorite books, and I talk about it all the time, is The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And that book changed my life because there was one concept in there that I learned that was such an aha moment for me. And the concept was this, that by the time you start to see the results that you actually want, 90% of the work is already done. And when I look back in my life, a lot of the times where I struggled, it was because I didn't understand that. I was so focused on seeing the results. I hadn't recruited anybody, or I wasn't making any money. This wasn't going anywhere. So I would stop, and then I would start again, and then I would stop because I wasn't seeing the results. And I didn't realize that I needed to stop focusing on results and I needed to focus on activity. I understood that going into this process. And I knew that if I just kept putting myself out there and deliver value, and that I would eventually find people that would want to follow me, tell other people. And I knew at some point I would be able to make money, but for 6 months, I just focused on doing the little things. And then it turned into this business. And you fast forward to today, we're 10 months, 11 months later, Probably this month, I will go over $1 million in revenue with this new business. So I've literally gone from doing my first video ever to building $1 million online training company in about a year, which has been amazing. And I don't share that to brag, but I think it's pretty crazy when you think about, what's transpired for me. And it's an example of the power of building a personal brand, the power of live streaming video. Because to me, that's the other thing. You can build a relationship with people so much faster through live video. I truly believe there's never been a better time ever in the history of this planet for somebody to be an entrepreneur and to be a marketer because of live video. Because here's the last thing I'll share with you is why I think live video is so powerful. We always hear people talk about you've got to build know, like, and trust, right? If somebody knows you and likes you and trusts you, they buy from you.
Right.
Build know, like, and trust through creating content and stuff like that. But live video is different because you can make a connection with somebody, and to have you there, right? We all have this obsession with reality TV for a reason. We like to be there and see people, and you can get to know someone through a live video so much better than you can through a recorded video. Because you can, for a short 3-minute period of time, you can hide who you really are. You can put on a face and do but when you're live, you get right away whether you like this person. And I have this concept that live video, if done the right way, doesn't help you build know, like, and trust. It helps you build know, love, and trust. And I can guarantee you, I have thousands and thousands of people out there who love me, literally, as weird as that is to say. They've never met me, but they spend every morning with me, and I get that over and over again. And that's something that anyone can build if they're willing to just put themselves out there.
Wow. Yeah. And I think, I have that with you. I feel that way towards you, and I feel that way towards a lot of other people. Had you experienced that towards other people in the past?
I have. Yeah. My, probably like one of my mentors when it comes to online business, was, Chalene Johnson. I found Chalene's podcast, early on. I was just searching for online business, and she came up, and I was like in love with her. I'm like, she's the best. Like, she's just got such an engaging personality. And I started listening to her podcast and watching her videos, and I was like, she's the best. Like, I'm totally crushing on this chick because she's like just so engaging and fun and has so much value. And she, so I had this with a lot of different people. And she was one of the people that kind of taught me how to do a lot of the stuff that I've done.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, if the results alone aren't enough to motivate somebody to do what you've done and start branding themselves, it's kind of hard to know what will. But some people I know, they still have that fear, right? They still, even though they know that they should be doing these things like live video, they still have that hesitation. They still have something holding them back. Do you have any advice for that person who sees the benefit, but they're just not doing it? They just feel that fear.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to that person just like I wish I could have talked to myself a year ago. There's a book that I would recommend to anyone that hasn't had a chance to check it out. It's called The War of Art, and it's by a guy named Stephen Pressfield. And this book, the first half of it is incredible. Second half I didn't love, but the first half incredible. And here's what it says: that the whole concept of the book is there are two lives that each of us have: the life that we live and the unlived life within us. And the unlived life within us is that greatness that each and every one of us has inside, that most of us never let out because we're not willing to have the courage to push past our fear. And the book says the thing that keeps us from that unlived life, from that greatness, from that life of our dreams, from everything we've ever wanted or desired, is what's called resistance. And resistance shows up as fear. And here's what's interesting. Most of my life, up until probably about the age of 30, my number one fear has been public speaking.
Mm.
Well, heights and then public speaking, close second. I was so afraid of public speaking. I was the kid in class that if I knew the answer to a question and nobody else knew it, I would not raise my hand because I hated the sound of my own voice.
Wow.
Deathly afraid of public speaking. First time I was asked to get in front of a room, I was basically pushed up there on a Saturday training in front of 20 people just to open up. And it was it was the worst experience of my life. It was horrible. That's where I was. I was so afraid. And what's really interesting now is to see that the one thing that I feared the most my whole life is the number one way I make an impact on the world today, through my communication and my speaking. And here's my message to anybody that's watching this that knows they should be doing videos, that's afraid of, because if you're not doing it, the only reason you're not doing it is you're afraid. So let's just be real and say that. There's no other reason than fear why you're not doing videos. So stop kidding yourself that it's anything else. But here's what I want to tell you. Because you fear that, that should be the very thing that's telling you that's the thing you need to do. Because if you do the things you fear, that's usually where breakthroughs occur. And I'm just telling you, I have taught this concept of creating these short little videos, generic in nature, valuable, to thousands of people this year. And I have never seen anything that is a greater source of personal breakthroughs for people, that is a greater source for them to immediately start to generate leads for themselves online by stop talking so much about their company and start to promote themselves. But you have to recognize that that fear, all that means is that's the thing you were probably put on this earth to do the most. Otherwise, you wouldn't fear it so much. That's what resistance is. So my only regret is I didn't start doing videos a year earlier, because I can't even imagine where I would be today if now, listen, I'm not complaining. I'm happy with where I am today,
Right.
But I wish I would have started doing them a year ago. And we have to also realize that social media, I really believe, is going to be predominantly a video platform, video medium here. Facebook has already predicted, they predict 90% of their content will be video here in the next 3 to 5 years, probably even sooner than that.
Yeah.
And I just think, a lot of people say, but everybody's doing them, right? That's all you see is videos now. And that's true. But I would also say very few people are doing them well. And very few people are consistently doing them well. So
Right.
if you can learn what a good video is, if you can create content that's not company specific all the time, and if you can be consistent, you can build a following. I don't care who you are. People, if they relate to you, and if you can help them create a result for themselves, they will follow you and they will tell other people.
Wow. That is so powerful. So powerful. Everything you want, guys. I loved that. Everything that you want is on the other side of your fear.
Yep.
Right.
Totally.
I love that. So I want to dig into a little bit of tactics. So